Ted season 2 is a really great season to the show. I just watched it like yesterday, and I watched some of it today to record this video, and yeah, it's a pretty solid season. I can't lie, pretty solid addition to the show already. I watched like the show when it also first came out with the first season. It is like season 1, but just like with a lot like better humor and all. Like a lot more shit was happening. I can't lie, and just made it so much more better and funnier. So yeah, go watch that shit. But anyways, I think I'm gonna be talking about two menaces, two absolute diabolical fucking fuck nuggets in this show. Clive and Randy. I keep calling him Randy because he looks so much like a Randy. His name literally looks like a Randy. Like, you know, just you look at him like, yeah, there's Randy, like across the road, just good old Randy. Like, his name is Barney, but I just keep calling him Randy for some reason. It's just the first name that pops in my head every time I see bro with his big ass giant neck here and his alcoholic looking ass. And then we have a Clive who basically looks like he ate a whole couch or whatever. He looked like he ate like a beanbag. So yeah, these two guys in the show, they're both probably the only two characters apart from like your one who ripped into Susan, but then Ted actually took a entire verbal shit all over her and just like exposed her for like, oh, your uncle's actually your brother or some shit, or you got like that nose drop, and when you were shifting your boyfriend, it felt like he was shifting a duck and like, you know, was just poking him the whole time. She was a fuck nugget as well, but she's kind of only a fuck nugget for like, part of an episode, and that's really it. So I kind of want to talk about like Clive and Randy. I'm just gonna call him Randy. I don't really care. So Clive is actually earlier on in the show. He's earlier on in the season. He's like basically the bully at school. They kind of didn't know what to do with him after like episode 3. They just kind of had to like let him go like a wild dog. I swear bro acts like a wild dog every time he sees him. Like the first time we get to see bro is when he like, or one of the things that bro does is that every time he sees John and Ted, it's like pretty much on sight. He's like acting as if he's been hired to, just bully them or whatever. He's just, going after them the second he sees them, like an aggressive dog with no muzzle. And then he can't even let John piss in peace. Like his whole existence is just enough to trigger him. It's like if John is within the dude's vicinity, he can like sniff him out and just like, he'll go after them like free eats. Because John was trying to take a piss. He's just trying to take a piss at the urinal. Don't know why he's pissing at the urinal. Knowing Clive, the second he goes into the bathroom, he'd like, twist his balls off or whatever. He could have just went into one of the cubicles behind him. That bathroom was like empty. It was just like John and Ted. They could have been jerking each other off and no one else would have known. Like he could have just like went into the cubicle and just he would have been safe. He would have been safe, able to piss in there. I feel like maybe Clive would have been waiting outside, whoever went outside the bathroom, ready to just fucking surprise attack him like from a horror movie. But yeah, he really should have just went in the cubicle. But anyways, John was trying to have a piss, and then Clive just comes in out of nowhere with his two top dick riders, his two boys that just like kind of follow him everywhere. Like Clive is a big magnet, and then are like two pieces of metal just following him everywhere he goes. He's never without him. And they must have like threesomes on the weekend or some shit, because it's like his two boyfriends. They just never leave him alone. So he walks in the bathroom with them, and then Clive, John is kind of in a really vulnerable position. He's in he can't really do anything. Like his defenses is down because he has his knob out and he's just trying to have a piss. And then Clive, he's just like, right, so Bennett, just slams him into the cubicle. Make sure you don't splash. He made him like splash into the piss, and it made it look like he pissed himself all over his pants. So then Ted, he starts trying shit to Clive. He kicks Ted across the room. He actually done this. This is actually the first thing actually he done when he walked into the bathroom. Ted said some shit, be like, all right, what if we are gay or whatever, and then Clive just fucking volleys him across the room. And then Clive also grabs Ted after Ted started talking shit about his ma. He was like, I think he's making jokes about how Ted would like give his ma golden showers. It's like, how about you ask your mother? And then he's like, oh, that fell out of my mouth faster than your mother. He's just making jokes about him eating his ma out. So he just grabbed Ted and shoved him into the bathroom and just wanted to flush him down into the sewers or whatever. Like that is some diabolical shit. He's gonna flush him away to like just somewhere completely random underground. So he ended up flushing him to the toilet right next to him, because it's like the toilets do sharing and caring. They both share each other's shits and piss, just going back and forth between the students. It's pretty fucking weird and disgusting if you think about it. But yeah, that's just one of the things bro was trying to do. In that episode, he just like kept on attacking. In that episode, John and Ted were pretty much sick and tired of Clive just constantly attacking him. Like, he's the first person as well. Like, even on the first day of school, of Ted's school, or the first day for Ted in school, Clive is, immediately just quick to, flock over to them. Like, he's a bee and they're like flowers with nectar or whatever. He just needs to, go collect that shit. Because he immediately just and just starts picking on him again. He basically just like gives him a nut shot. Just like it's just an excuse for him to get a quick 1 second grope of John's balls, and then he like starts calling John gay and all. Then Ted kind of be real with him. He just points out the fact it's like you just like just touched you just felt them up, bro. Wouldn't that mean you like to suck off men? And then Clive is like, you're still a dork. So yeah, he can just not give him a break. Every time he just sees him, he just has to attack him. It's like he fucking hates him or some shit. It's like they never done anything to him, and he immediately just just loves bullying. And he's always surrounded by the two main dildos that are just constantly following around. But in an episode, My Two Dads, John and Ted actually getting back pretty good. Basically, in this episode, they find out that Clive is a bastard son. His dad left before he was even born. He couldn't be arsed. He couldn't be arsed with it. He just already saw the future to be like, my son's gonna be a disappointment. So he just like walked off and just left him pretty much. So John and Ted, Ted become basically just like becomes his dad. He just turns into his dad for the episode. He starts pretending to be his dad, and one of the things he tells him to do is actually pretty funny. He tells him to dress up as a sailor, show up at like friendlies, and just say ahoy to everyone. And he made him do this. They make him do a whole humiliation ritual. He made him cosplay as a sailor. You're supposed to be on boats and you're supposed to be sailing, because in the story, in this episode, he basically said his dad was like, doing like some Korean War or whatever. I do know later on he's saying he's like a soldier of fortune. He was like underneath the Los Angeles underground and killing crackheads or whatever, and it was just him and the boys, and basically there's like a group of Batmans or something, just like a bunch of vigilantes, something like that. So he basically tells him where to see sailor suit, and then he just goes on the phone, rings the restaurant to tell him to go fuck himself. So then this worker comes up to Clive and just tells him, right, so I like your dad. So like your dad said he likes his adopted Korean kids better. He doesn't really like his own real son. And then like Clive just ordered some abandonment issues on the menu, and that basically ended up working way too well. This is actually a really good way they got Clive back. Clive might have been destroying their confidence and destroying their balls and destroying them by just abusing them the whole time, but he managed to, they managed to fucking destroy his confidence. They managed to make his confidence crumble to dust, because the second Clive ended up hearing that, he ended up just crying. He just ended up and just ended up running outside the restaurant, just flailing his fucking arms about as if they were made from rubber or some shit, and he didn't have any bones. And it actually made John and Teddy Bear, the Teddy Bear, bro. John and Ted feel bad. So, and then later on they just apologize, and Clive, they actually end up having a surprise birthday for Clive. Clive, this is kind of low-key true. This is kind of like, actually I forgot to mention this. He's like some aggressive ass bastard. He doesn't even like them existing. Like Ted and John just existing within Clive's vicinity, even if they're not acting like a bunch of retards, or even if they're not like saying anything to them, even just them existing is enough to set Clive up. Because in the school hallway, he just goes up to Clive and being like, yo, so John, like, we have something to tell you. You're gonna be having a surprise birthday party. And then Clive was just staring into them like, I don't know, he just wants to eat them or some shit. Like, he's like, what the fuck you say to me? You're talking to me, man. I'm gonna break your legs. He done the same thing as well. When Clive was supposed to be having this math test, so like Ted and John were basically talking to him over the phone. Ted was like, yo, you any good at school? And he's like, yeah, nah, I'm pretty fucking shit, I can't lie. So, they're like trying to train him how to do math. So about like some bully, and he beats up some students, and like 20% of them are gay because they're in the choir. They just like using the choir as a dildo, I guess. And then he actually managed to get that question right. So then later on next day, John walks by him, to see what he got on his test. He got a C+. And the second Clive saw him, John wasn't even doing anything. He could have actually just been walking by, for all you know. He could have just been gotten his food from the cafeteria, and could have just like walked by and was just walking to sit down. And Clive, for some reason, just like just slaps the food into his face. He makes him eat. He like wanted to feed him food in like a special way, and John just takes it and walks back. It's like he actually just fucking despises him. It's actually just it's literally just like beyond rage bait, and he's acting as if like John and Ted are like his two dads that just left him before he was born. because Jesus Christ, he does not like him. And then even at like the birthday party, this is actually kind of a more fair enough excuse because they did hire someone else to pretend to be his dad. But as soon as Clive finds that out, he goes over to Ted and John because he literally seen him hiding behind the trees, and he just immediately grabs him, gives fucking John some 2 fucking punches to the stomach, like his fist is a sledgehammer, and then he's like, I'm gonna beat your face off. He's gonna beat them so hard, he's gonna turn him into Slender Man. What's crazy, bro? This guy is cracked. And this guy needs a dad in his life. Maybe his dad leaving him is what made him go insane. Maybe if his dad was in his life, he would have balanced out his insanity with having someone in his life, and he might be not as bad. Who knows? But anyways, before Clive can touch him anymore, John and Ted basically explain, what is we like, we're doing so good to you, bro. We complimented you. You were never called smart in your life, and you knew what 2 + 2 was. And like now you're just like Einstein. You're brilliant at this and all. And then they end up actually getting along at the end of the episode. And that's actually the last you see of him until like season 2, where bro has like a full on fucking neck beard. He looks like he's still been living in his mom's basement at like 40 years old, just like playing Siege with the boys and just having like pack of Doritos in his left side. And there's another thing that like Clive did to him, which is just like, bro, come on, there's just no need. He just lives to just torment them. An episode where John and Ted pretty much go get like a bag of drugs. Clive finds that on him because Ted actually tried to use the drugs he had fucking expelled because he couldn't be arsed for doing he could not be arsed for school. He just wanted to have the life of a doll muncher, pretty much, just staying at home and doing absolutely fucking nothing. So he tries to get expelled. Clive robs that shit off of him, and it's like, bro, he literally just like came up to him and was like, oh, what you got there? Oh, so you're not as much of a loser as I thought. You're a junkie. You're a stoner. So you smoking a bit of grass instantly increases your aura. It makes you, part of the cool kids club now. You can, come sit with us, John. So he just snatches his weed like a drug dealer, except he didn't have to pay him any money. He's basically like he just like nicked that shit right off him and just like went away. It's like bro just like came up and snatched that shit just like that. It's like, he won't let them get high. It's like he just doesn't want them to enjoy life, to be honest. But Clive, he was quite a dick to them. But they did just kind of fuck off after the 3rd episode. I don't know where bro went. But then this next guy, he first gets introduced in the 2nd season. And he's only introduced in 1 episode. This is like the last you ever see of bro again. He just made a single episode appearance. And then he just left after what Blair showed him why he shouldn't live here. Pretty much this guy is Randy. Or Barney. His name is Barney. He's Maddie's older brother, pretty much, and basically what Barney is to Maddie, he's basically his bully, but he gets the excuse of abusing the shit out of him mentally and physically by just being by the fact that he's his older brother. It's like, I am your older brother, so I get to fucking shove you in the bathtub, get you rolling down the fucking stairs, and then grab you by the ass cheeks, bro, and just start spinning you around like a ballerina, and start messing with your cheeks, and bro, it's like he actually did that shit. He was like, Maddie tried to charge at Barney, and Barney, just picked him up and just started, twirling him about the place and just groping his ass cheeks, bro. It's just, that is way too far. And it's also just a bit strange. It's just a bit of incestual groping there, bro. It's relax. And then his whole thing was and then his whole excuse was we're just roughhousing. Basically, this guy is a raging alcoholic whose wife left him. He tried to say, she just jumped out the window, and she was probably arguing with him while he was drunk driving. She just right, I can't be fucking bothered. I'm just gonna kill myself real quick. It's it'll do a lot better than a glass of wine will to deal with this guy. I don't blame her for leaving you, bro. I can see why. So then Blair pretty much just tells her, can you just stop bullying my dad? The first thing bro actually does when he just comes into the gaff, he walks in through the front door. He already cracks open a cold brewski. He cannot wait to latch his hands around the bear and just get drunk and start being an obnoxious prick to the whole family, or to Maddie in general. He really only seems to target Maddie. He kind of does target Susan a bit, but it's more on Maddie's expense as well later on. He basically just makes Maddie slap his own balls and shit, and he just floors him. He throws him ball onto the ground like a WWE wrestling move and just starts making him ping pong his own balls with his own hand. he seems to bully Matty whenever he wants, just because he's his older brother. So then Blair basically tells him, "Yo, can you just like stop bullying my uncle?" Pretty much, I know he, pretty much didn't want me in the house because I was lesbian earlier on. But you're kind of going a little bit too far. It's just a bit unjust, you know. It's not. It's more kind of more roughhousing. It's more bullying than just roughhousing. And he's like, right, so I'll be respectful. You know, Scout's honor. He literally, you know, he had his fingers crossed behind his back though, because later on at dinner, he just couldn't keep his mouth shut. He could not keep his trap shut. He ended up making jokes about how he could have robbed Susan from Maddie, and it's like, yo, Johnny, if your dad would have been 10 minutes late, I would have been your dad, man. I could have, you know, popped you out of my nutsack and I would have raised you, like, you know that. And then Maddie is just like, yo, what the, bro, come on, chill out, chill the beans, like, you know. And he's even like glowing, being like, yo, come on, Susie, you know you wanted me, you wanted me over Maddie, come on now. And then Blair just kind of had enough. She's just like, right, apologize to him. He didn't apologize because he made the whole NPC excuse of oh yeah, we're just messing, we're just joking around. Come on, we're just having a few laughs. I'm just joking around how I can just rob my brother's wife from him. I could just rob my sister-in-law and make her more than my sister-in-law, my own wife. So she's just like, you know what? I kind of fucking had enough of playing nice. I kind of had enough of playing friendly. So she wanted to personally feed his food, like he didn't know what the fuck how to eat. So she kind of helped him with that. She grabbed the plate of like I can't even remember. It's like macaroni and fish or whatever. I don't fucking know. But she like grabbed the ball and just like basically threw up into his face, kind of like what Clyde did to John. Except she put in extra power into this because the second she slammed that shit into his face, he ended up tumbling back like he already had way too much to drink. To be fair, he probably must have been drunk off of a crate of I was about to say a crate of Coke. Yeah, Coke's alcoholic now. He's probably drunk off of like a couple of beers. So this is why. So that's probably why he ended up stumbling into the table and just slapping and making all that shit, turn that shit into splinters, pretty much. So I'm fairly sure afterwards he just left. Like he actually didn't want to, have Blair back in the gaff before. That's the whole reason he arrived at the place, by the way. He just wanted, Blair to move back in. Blair, come on, I promise you it won't be different. Instead of drinking beers, like 10 beers every day, I'll drink one every day. I'll drink only once every day, and that's it. It'll be different like that. And she's actually kind of considering it after, telling him to promise not to bully Maddie anymore, and after he made her like a Barbie house out of like garbage or whatever, just out of random ass shit he was finding in the garage, it looked like. So he just said, fuck you, Blair, you're a crazy bitch, psycho like your mother, and he just left and went home. But yeah, Barney, bro, yeah, his name is, he has 3 names, Barney, Randy, and Arnie. Barney the dinosaur, he just ended up being way worse than Clive, I'm not gonna lie. Clive, he was pretty bad to Johnny, but he just kind of like left after the 3rd episode. He was basically just pretty much just average bully, but he just seemed to really fucking hate him. He seemed to really take like bullying as a full-time job. It's like the 2 boys he was with were paying him to, go beat the shit out of this random guy with his teddy bears. Like, leave bro alone, he's just chilling with his toys. But then Barney, he just seemed way more evil and way more fucked up because he's just doing it for the love of the game. He's just being like, just wanted to bully Maddie because it's like a little bit of fun to him. He's so used to bullying his younger brother. He still does it in his own adulthood. Even like the first time when he bullied Maddie in the gaff, he made Maddie slap his own cock and just floored him onto the ground in front of Maddie's wife. He's doing that in front of the woman, and he's doing that in front of the husband. The disrespect on this guy, he did not really hold back at all. He didn't seem to give a flying fuck. Like, he was so much more worse. But Blair, she did really stick up for Maddie in this episode on Cat 9N. But I was just sort of forgotten about for the rest of the show. It's just in one episode. But yeah, I just wanted to talk about these 2 people because they seem like 2 particular menaces in this show, and I just really fucked with Ted season 2 as well. So see you later.